Good morning, soccer fans. Welcome to the Kickoff Show, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. We're your hosts, Katie, Danny, and John. Thanks for joining us. This summer has been exciting. We are in week 9, guys. One more full week left of action. I'm excited. Danny, Katie, how are you guys doing today?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Like you said, week 9. Where the heck did all that time go? I mean, the summer of soccer is already really almost over. It seems really almost depressing to say, but the great news is the best of our summer of soccer is yet to come. I almost feel bad saying summer of soccer without Megan here. It's weird that she's gone, but I mean, we've trademarked it as a whole unit. I think I can still say it legally. Won't get in too much trouble, but yeah, there we go. I mean, it's exciting. This is a time of the year that makes all of this lead up so exciting and so special. Now we get to see kind of the climax of that and you know, who really gets the spoils after a really cool season. So love being able to talk about playoff scenarios and what's coming up next.
Yeah, lots going on. Katie, how are you? There's a lot going on in your world.
Oh yeah, I'm good. In fact, I've got my weird mushroom coffee stuff today. I gave it a try and it tastes pretty much like dirt and coffee. So anyway, I'm gonna try and choke it down a little bit so I can wake up today because we had a late game last night. You know, we played Vecchio last night and beat them 4-0, which was cool. I snuck a couple minutes in there towards the end, and it was just a long drive back. And so, but I'm here. I'm doing it. Yep.
Trying to find my Ric Flair woo for you. Here we go. Got your minutes in. Everything's working well, right? You're ready to go. So, guys, again, 1 week left. Lots of chaos happening around the league as we talk about conferences, which we'll get into a little bit. Lots of playoff scenarios that can play out today, leading up to the national championship that's going to take place July 23rd through 25th. The location is set, but we're not quite ready. But again, I hope you guys are ready for some pyrotechnics this weekend because many conferences have some opportunities for teams to make some noise and snag some playoff spots or potentially ruin some of those dreams. But before we get started, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit. This past week, power rankings came out. And Danny, you've been kind of vocal about Midwest United not being number 1. Well, guess what? After long conversations late into the night, Midwest United makes their debut as number 1. Why is this a good thing, Danny?
No, I mean, it needed to happen. I think for a lot of the same reasons that we've talked about before. You look at their body of work, right? And not just their record, not just, you know, the points that they've accrued, but the teams that they've beat on the way. I mean, that's probably the most competitive division as far as, you know, big ticket teams that are high quality at that level. I mean, that's 3 or 4 that they've had to beat. And I mean, they've had to beat them twice. You know, so you look at, you know, maybe in the Southeast, you've got Pensacola as a heavy hitter and Louisiana and Atlanta. You know, like everybody has their power players, but there's just so many over there, especially on that side of the Midwest. They just, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me. They've beaten so many quality teams. They've done it again and again. Very deserving for me to see Midwest as the top team.
Katie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, they beat DCFC, and for me, that's a solid team to beat, and they beat them 2-1. They got 2 goals in against that team, so I'm in 100% agreement with Midwest being number 1 in those power rankings. They do have a totally different conference, so many teams, and so many good teams, so it only makes sense to me. They've totally proven themselves this season.
I think the one that is the most interesting of it is the fact that Lone Star Republic has not been able to get to number 1. And I think it's frustrating for them to not see their name on that sheet. But I look at the conference, right? And the way the conference is played for number 2, you have Lone Star Republic and you have the Athenians. And the problem that I have is that you guys have only played 1 time, Katie. And that was kind of one of the things that has me, you know, I want to see more. And that conference, it's not like the Eastern Conference, which we've considered to be the Pac-12 of the East, but it's very similar in that once you get past the Athenians and you get past Lone Star Republic, it's a bloodbath for that 3rd and 4th spot. Danny, thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, it's a little bit unfair. LSR is some of our faithful listeners I know come from LSR, and so they'll rightfully feel a little bit slighted by the fact that they're not number one. Because I mean, in their perspective, what else are they going to do? But up to now, like we're talking about, it's the body of work. Whether or not that's equal or fair, that's what we have to go on. So there's questions that we won't know until we get to the national playoffs, and it's going to get really exciting. And like you said, pyrotechnics. But until then, it's up to how consistently you've proven that you can play at that level. And Midwest have proven it a bit more often, just because they've had more opportunities to.
Exactly. And I'm just going to say, I know we already are there's a lot of talk in the works. We just need to play LSR again. If they want to claim a top spot, they need to beat more top teams. Am I right? So I just think that if they want number one, they're going to have to prove it, later on. Maybe in the playoffs.
I love you throwing some fire I love you throwing some gasoline on this fire. I like it.
Come through.
Where's Tyler and Jackie when I need him right now, man? Even Maddie. I know Maddie's up. Maddie Hall, where you at? Coming in number 3, we have the Chicago Mustangs, and they took a drop, and it was a lot to do with the conference, not the conference, but the division. That division just doesn't seem to have it. You have Chicago Mustangs, and then you have MSC Peoria, and then everybody else. And it's not a knock on them. It's not a knock on that conference. I don't believe, but if Chicago was winning and winning huge against the likes of Midwest United, winning huge against Corktown, winning huge against Detroit City FC, that's a different story. That's a number 1 team. You beat Detroit City FC 3-1, but what have you done since then? Who have you really gotten a signature win against? Danny?
Yeah, similar situation to Lone Star. I almost think and this is tough to say, but I almost think they have a better case for being number 1 than Lone Star do. Now, whether that means they should be second, I'm not sure. That's a tough call to make. But I mean, you look at that game that Mustangs won 3-1 over DCFC that you mentioned. That's at Keyworth Stadium. That's in front of the Northern Guard supporters. That to me proves more that they can come into a hostile environment, that they can go and play against a tough team. Really, at the peak of their season, they were coming off 3 wins in a row to start their season. Mustangs' first game of the year. First game in 2 years, because that's how long it had been since teams had played, and they came into that environment, to that situation, and just absolutely whooped DCFC. 3-1 was full value for that win. It was a pretty dominant performance all the way through. That proves to me that they can continue to do it. Now, like you said, it's been a while. We've got to prove it again. That's what we're looking at in a league like UWS. You've got to keep being able to do it, because it's a summer league. It's every week there's new things that come around, and it's a short memory type of league. You got to keep winning, and they've kept winning, but they've got to do it against another strong opponent like that. And the Midwest is not offering them. Well, their side of the Midwest anyway is not offering them those chances every week.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. It's one of those things where they do need more competitors, and I'm just gonna cue the broken record all over again. We're not going to really know real power rankings until we get to the playoffs, when we start playing bigger teams in other conferences. Right now, it's just really hard to tell.
Speaking of hard to tell, you've got the Athenians coming in at number 4, and this team they've played well. They've been consistent. They had the game against LSR, which was a complete, a different story than I think they even anticipated. But they have not played and will not play them again until they get to that playoff scenario. Mm-hmm. I think having them at number 4, look, they may be the 4th best team in the UWS, because everybody else isn't putting it together yet. Danny, what are your thoughts on Athenian coming in at number 4?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to defer to our Athenians expert in the building. But I mean, I think they're good value for that spot. Obviously, they don't have the same perfect record that the teams above them do, but they've got a lot of quality. They've shown it all year long. It's a pretty consistent team. I think they're definitely a team that should feel more 50-50 in that potential playoff match with LSR, rather than a real underdog position. I think those are 2 pretty even teams, and we'll see how it plays out.
Katie, is this on the wall in the locker room, these power rankings, or is it talked about even in the locker room? Like, hey, this guy is giving us the 4 spot. We deserve better.
You know, coaches aren't happy about it. But it's one of those things where, I mean, if you look at our standings in the conference right now, we're number 1 in the conference. So if we're number 1 in the conference, why are we number 4 in the power rankings? And I know they just played the Hornets, right? So that score is going to come in. It's going to change some things, but it's one of those things. Competitor, I'll always be a competitor, so I'm always going to have something to say about LSR. I think 4th, maybe 3rd, maybe, I don't know. I think that one is a really interchangeable spot in the power rankings there. There's no doubt LSR is a really good team, not trying to take away from them and their talent, and like, no doubt, right? Good team. Like, I think we're at that point where we're just ready to prove it. We're ready to walk the walk. You know, I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like the power rankings are good to keep a tab and a pulse on what's going on and who's who. But at the end of the day, it's about how we show up in the next game and in the next chance that we get to face them, right? So
I think we're going to have to get you guys some live real-time standings there in San Antonio. I think you guys are missing the point here. Guys, I think they finished before you guys yesterday. So I don't know. Are you guys just getting? Are you guys getting the old way of mail on horseback here in Texas?
Dude, I haven't seen anything about a score. I went to their Instagrams, didn't see anything.
2-0. Oh, it's on their Instagram.
Okay.
Don't, hey,
wait.
Tyler,
2-0. 2-0. That's it.
2-0.
Okay, got it.
And they went with they traveled with 13, so they didn't have any. They were low on the total poll. They didn't have 28 on the roster there. Katie, calm down.
Oh please, we don't travel with 28. We travel with 18, and we don't always even make all our subs. So hey, you know, we could go back and forth all day. We could.
Oh. That's true. That's true. You did get minutes yesterday, though. Let's stay with the minutes. Get those.
I'm
minutes.
like Rudy.
There you go. Is it a Rudy moment? You said you were a little sore today. I had a little bit of a knock.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sore. You know, it's like I said, it's my coming out of retirement season. I got a knot on my knee. Got a little bit of a gimp on the left side.
Is that the same side? Same side where you got chased by the boar, right?
Oh, it's the opposite side. Well, the knee knot is the same side as the bear fight. That's what we're gonna call it, okay? Bear fight.
And then coming at number 5, Danny's squad, FC Buffalo. They lost 5 to the Scorpions, and that's got that conference moving a little bit. But they turned around, come back with a 5-1 win this past weekend in Week 8. Danny, is FC Buffalo are they gonna continue to do this, or are the playoffs gonna be kind of an offset for them?
Oh no, they're winning the whole thing, and here's why. This is why I had to clear my throat for it. Listen, hot take, but I don't care. Listen, when you lose 5-2 like that, that's motivation. That gets you prepared for the playoffs in a way that being an undefeated team doesn't. And I mean, Katie, you understand this also. I mean, having lost that big game, having lost that close game, you've got more fodder. You've got more of a drive to say, we know what it's like to lose. We can't feel that again. So emotionally, mentally, you're not only prepared for that, you know exactly what it's going to cost you on an emotional scale if you lose that next match. And so going into that, you've kind of, and you can look at this in college football, you can look at it in all different kind of sports. I mean, when that team loses that one game, it motivates them to come back and to be stronger in that playoff moment. That's a teaching lesson that you can't get if you win every single match. So, I mean, it doesn't look great on paper, but I actually am happy with the place that Buffalo are in as they kind of head into this playoff season. I still back them.
Bulletin board material, Danny.
Heck yeah, I totally agree with that, Danny. You know, and like we got lucky in that we lost so, you know, intensely early on in the season. It really did whip us into shape. We were like, whoa, hold on. All right, time to get it together. Let's go. Let's play our game. So you're 100% hit the nail on the head on that one.
It'll be interesting to see. One more week left. Yeah. One more power ranking before we get into playoffs. It could shift, and today is a big day. But let's talk a little bit about Week 8. Katie, you had a match that caught the eye. The team that lost this match actually had the opportunity to control its own fate as it related to playoff structure, and they didn't finish the job. Go ahead and explain what match you had for us.
Yes, Lancaster Inferno lost 2-3 against the Connecticut Rush, and I was really rooting for Lancaster because they're sitting at number 10 in the conference. But they really gave the Rush a really good run for their money last week because they still snuck in 2 goals. So unfortunately for them, it just wasn't enough to, capitalize or to surpass those 3 goals that ended the game. But Kylie Gallagher of the Connecticut Rush, she was actually the first one to set the tone of the game with a goal 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. And then the second goal for the Rush came from a PK just before the second half. So already at the second half, they were up 2-0. And so it wasn't looking so great for Inferno, but right at the top of the second half, I think the Inferno came out as a different team. They had some really quality shots, some of them hitting the posts, and then they scored their first goal off of a really pretty cross. So that's the one thing about this game is that Inferno's goals were all really, really solid. And then the second goal for Inferno came from Larissa Di Giovanni, and it was a quality set piece, upper 90, left side, a little bit of a bend. It just really looked great. They definitely, you could tell, caught a second wind. Even after that, it was good possession on both sides, and then and at this point they equalized the game, so there's a chance, right? I thought for sure either they're going to win this or it's going to be a tie, but at the very, very end of the game, Connecticut was able to sneak in a third goal. And Connecticut played a good game as well. They got their goals off PKs, and then that final goal actually came from a corner kick, and so it was just a good game to watch either way. But unfortunately, for Inferno, they weren't able to take that W. So.
Yeah, and Inferno gets another shot this weekend. They're playing Albany Rush today, which should be a good match. And sitting at 10 in the conference, look, 3 points separates 4 through 10. And if you really want to get there, you can look at 5 points separates 4 through 11. So this conference is still up for grabs today with another week to play. And again, fireworks and chaos. I love organized chaos. This is not going to be organized. It's just straight chaos, but we're all about it. Danny, let's move out west. Let's talk a little bit about your match. We have not really seen, I don't think we've seen the international that we thought we were going to see this season. But this match gave us a glimpse of the future, perhaps. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little late for Inter, but you're absolutely right. This is more of the Inter CA team we were expecting to see and didn't see really until now. And now all that's left for them is to play the Canadian clubs, if I'm not mistaken. So we're looking at SC Blue Heat hosting Inter. And so coming into this match, Inter, the bottom feeders, they've got 1 point from 3 matches. And obviously, that's not really where you want to be. That put them in third out of 5. Again, the Canadian clubs just having started playing this weekend. And so SC Blue Heat hosting, they're on top of the division and knowing that they've kind of got to keep their level up. They've got plenty of points over second place, but those Canadian clubs have plenty of time. Impact and WFC have plenty of time to pop in and steal that top spot. So Blue Heat coming in, I think maybe expecting a bit to take the 3 points before the game was decided. So 21 minutes in, the underdogs get the opener away from home. It's Nathalie Losado, the assist coming in from Bianca Frontino. That puts Inter ahead 21 minutes into this match. And that kind of lit a fire under Blue Heat, kind of a small microcosm of what Katie and I were talking about earlier with playoffs. You give that opening goal away, and then you're like, all right, we gotta figure this out. They figured it out before halftime came. 33rd minute, fantastic header from Angeles Escobar, great goal, and then Zoe Hazenauer, if I'm saying that right, had the cross to put that header on a platter for Escobar. So a big equalizer from Blue Heat. Neither team were able to break the deadlock. Not a whole lot of goals in it, but a lot of decisive moments. It seems like it was really chippy. Shout out to Blue Heat's Twitter account for kind of giving a good idea of how this game was going. But it seemed like a pretty physical match all the way through. Both teams really wanted it, and I think when Blue Heat realized how much Trainer wanted it, that kind of changed the dynamic of this game quite a bit. But the big thing that this shows me is now I think Blue Heat are on 10 points from their 4 matches so far. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong there. But I mean, that this puts them now in a spot where instead of losing all 3 points at home and kind of losing that momentum as the two clubs from Canada start to kind of mount that momentum, now they can get that all needed point, and I think they're in a much better position to take this Western Conference than they would have been otherwise. So a really big equalizer at home, really big for their momentum and for that extra point as well. So interesting to see how the West is going. Still a lot to be decided, a lot more so on the West than other areas, but I'm excited to see how it pans out, and this could be the point that gives Blue Heat a chance at the national playoffs still.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that real quick. So Blue Heat came out and they said that they were playoff bound, that they had punched a ticket. They are on 10 points. They have 2 matches remaining, both against Impact and Calgary Foothills, who played last night. We'll talk a little bit about that with Erica Vecchio from Impact here in a minute. But I am concerned that they popped the champagne bottle too fast, because Impact still has 3 more matches to play. They've got Calgary again next Sunday. Then they go to Blue Heat, where if they win, that puts them at 9 points. And then they play Congo, which puts them at 12 points. So if they're able to take away points, and Calgary's able to take away points from Blue Heat, somebody's not making the playoff and pop that cork too soon. And I don't think you could. I've tried. I don't think you can put the cork back in the champagne once you popped it. So I think the thing to think about here is, they're counting their eggs as being hatched, and I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because look, and we'll talk about it again, you've got a really physical Impact. You've got a really physical Foothill match coming up, and we'll talk a little bit about that with our guests today as we recap that match. So we'll see. My match was St. Louis Scott Gallagher and FC Wichita. 1 game. That magic number was 1 for St. Louis Scott Gallagher, and they ended up pulling a draw. So the winning streak was snapped, and Wichita battled back twice to take away a point, leaving 2 on the pitch for everybody to scramble for. But Abby Miller, once again, 43rd minute, but then Wichita on the 67th, Brooklyn Etz knocks the score. Sydney Ernst comes back, pulls it just 2 minutes later in the 69th minute, and then Natalia Da Silva back of the net, 76 minutes to share the points for Wichita. Look, you just had to win. That's all you had to do. Just win, and we see how difficult that could be. So St. Louis Scott Gallagher had an opportunity. They can do it against Gretna on Wednesday to finish out the regular season, but it will be interesting to see how Gretna finishes, because Gretna has a chance to slide into the 2nd spot of the conference if they can draw and win. They could even win the conference if they win out, while holding the advantage on goal differential against St. Louis Scott Gallagher as well. But the magic number for St. Louis Scott Gallagher, again, still 1, but it has to come down to this hard-fought match against Gretna, who has shown that they are capable of doing big things and spoiling stuff. So a draw secures the conference, but Gretna, I think, has other plans for this match coming up this week on Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens out in the Central Conference. But we have a lot of conferences to be determined, as we just talked about the Central. But Danny, this Eastern Conference does not want to let go. The Rush needs to win to secure 3rd. And when I talk about Rush, I'm talking about the Connecticut Rush. They need to win to secure 3rd, but the 4th spot is wide open. You have Albany Rush needs to beat Lancaster Inferno today to knock them out of the playoff picture entirely. But then they have to beat Syracuse next weekend to ensure that they get 4th. Here's where it gets fun. If Albany loses and the Connecticut Fusion wins out, they take the 4th seed and but if they lose and Copa win out, Copa takes 4. I can't keep up with this. I'm not a mathematician.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like, my brain hurts. What on earth? There's just so many players. There's just so many teams in the Eastern Conference. 13. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh. Danny, what is this? What do we make of this? Is this good to have this much parity coming into the last week?
Listen, I'm still trying to figure out which team is which. There's Connecticut Rush and Albany Rush and Connecticut Fusion, and I'm like, what?
You get a rush, I get a rush. Everybody gets a rush from the Eastern Conference. Here we go.
Right?
Over here in the East Conference.
Everybody.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's to your point, it's fantastic. I love having this, and it coming off the Euros, coming off Copa America, where you've got all these scenarios of who advances and who goes through. It's that type of pressure moment for these teams. And I mean, for me, it's one of the most exciting parts of American soccer specifically. It's one of our little quirks, our little oddities that, this is a normal hallmark of any season. That we don't have to wait for cup competitions for this to happen. This is our regular season, and there's so much excitement. There's so much, that's wrapped up in these scenarios of who could qualify and what they have to do to make it in or to stay out, what's going to happen. I love that it keeps us on pins and needles. It's, one of those things that just makes soccer more exciting this time of year.
Katie, do you like chaos?
I thrive in chaos. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know who likes chaos. If you do, maybe go to therapy. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But I was just going to say the Eastern Conference, I think it would be a good idea to break that into 2 conferences maybe in the future. Is that a possibility? Because I mean, think about it, 13 teams, that's a lot of games before you even get to playoffs. That has to be some kind of there has to be some kind of a disadvantage there. And it's not just that, but the more games you play, the more chances there are for injury. So I mean, that's a tough conference to be in just for the sheer number of games. So, I think it would be cool to maybe see that one broken up a little bit in the future. And because if you look at all the other conferences, there's just nowhere near that many teams.
Well, and it does beg the question, right? The Midwest is divided into 2 divisions. That's a pretty similar number of teams. We definitely could do it in the East. That's a really great point from Katie.
We'll see what happens. Obviously, with the way the league is growing and the teams that we're adding, 13 teams that have been added into the Eastern Conference. There's a possibility we could see another team kind of slide in to be number 14, and then we have a perfect 7-7. Midwest Conference is Chicago and Midwest United. Midwest United closed it out last night with their win over Detroit City FC. Chicago Mustangs have held on to that conference, I think, since week 5. When they started playing, they kind of walked away or ran away with that conference real quick. In the Southeast, Pensacola is going to win the conference. Unfortunately, sorry, Danny, in Atlanta. But Atlanta, and we'll talk a little bit about this when you go into your game. Atlanta has an opportunity to control its own fate. Got a good win last night, but that doubleheader, it's those can play a role in anything. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Atlanta controlling its fate against Louisiana FC. Pensacola Academy out. And then we just talked about the West. Blue Heat, popped the champagne cork a little too soon, perhaps. We'll find out as the Canadian teams start playing. Speaking of conferences, our last one, the Southwest Conference, LSR Athenians are going to take that conference. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Side FC and Austin, FC Austin Elite, because Wilco, our guest on the UWS Weekly Show this past week, has an opportunity. They're right on the heels of both. If Side FC slips up against Wilco or LSR, it opens things up for Wilco to have an opportunity to play for that conference playoff as well. So we will see. The wild, wild Southwest. It's going to be interesting deep in the heart of Texas this summer. But, hey, our game of the week, or our game of the week this week, was the last 2 teams in UWS to get their seasons underway. Calgary Foothills and FC Impact. They met last night to kick things off in Canada. The Canadian Classico, as it is being rightfully named.
I like that.
After watching this match last night, and I know you two did not have the opportunity to see it, and that's perfectly fine because it was on CFN. And it will be replayed today. They'll have that full replay on their YouTube channel. But this game could have been a different story. Ended up 1-0 for Impact, and our guests will join and tell us differently that they controlled the match the whole time. Captain Erica Vecchio joining us to talk a little bit about that. But Storty, who is an attacker for forward for Foothills, had an opportunity. I was teasing with Troy Flannery, the head coach for Impact, that Emily Burns needs a new pair of goalie gloves after yesterday, making some incredible saves. In fact, the announcer said absolutely robs her as a player had an opportunity to score in front of her at the 6-yard box, making a huge save in the 90th minute. So helping us get some insight, we have Impact Captain Erica Vecchio. Erica, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How is everything?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's good. Obviously an exciting night last night. So we're just recovering, trying to get ready for next weekend. But yeah, it was a big event that the club put on. So very exciting night.
So I have to ask, before we get started, you got subbed off in the 65th minute last night. I know as a captain, that's not ideal for you, but you have something going on. And I think that was your first game back, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of give us some insight, one, into was it okay to be subbed off at that time? Or was there, the fighting spirit in you? Was that ready to go? Or were you okay being subbed off in that match?
You know what? I'm just coming off a bit of a hamstring knock. So although you never want to get subbed off, I think it was probably an appropriate move. We made a number of subs in the second half, just like you've been talking about, the physicality of the game. So we made a couple different subs in the second half just to close out the game. And we're very confident in our bench as well for those girls to get the job done. So I'm okay with it.
Kenny?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this match, obviously it's not just your first game back off of a knock, but I mean, it's the entire team hasn't been playing. You've been kind of just watching the rest of the league go at it for a while, and I'm sure raring to go, kind of just chomping at the bit. I mean, how does it feel to come out and after all that waiting, grab your first win of the season and really start proving it to the league that you can really compete for a national playoff spot?
Yeah, it feels good. Obviously, I think there's a bunch of us that haven't played in 15 months. There's a couple of us that have played recently. So we have a different mix of people who have played within the last year or not. And yeah, I think we did a good job of kind of managing the nerves and whatnot. I feel like we definitely played nervous at times. But I think for us, it's just good to have that first game under the belt and just understand that, yes, okay, we're good enough to play in this league and we can now move forward.
How long have you guys actually been practicing together before this first game? Like, how much time have you had together as a team to really learn your style of play?
So we've been training. So we were training last month. We got to train 3 times, and then Alberta went into another lockdown. So we had 3 training sessions and they were socially distanced. So you can imagine you can only do so much with that. And then we were off for 3 weeks. So I think before this match, we've been training for about 3 weeks now. The first week back was again socially distanced. And then 2.5, I guess, full weeks of contact training. So it's a quick turnaround, but it's just one of those things you have to deal with. Foothills is in the same boat, so no excuses really.
So how do you get ready for this match? You guys have seen what they've done. You've seen kind of their movement patterns and their formation. How do you prepare for this game, this turnaround fixture again for the other part of the Canadian Classico on June 11th? How do you guys reset and get ready for that matchup?
I think we learned a lot from yesterday. Again, like I said, I think we played quite nervous, and I think it'll be very, very helpful for us to have one under our belt. Obviously, they're a very talented team. I think it helps also that Troy knows them so well. He's brought a lot of insight in terms of formations and shape and tendencies and that sort of thing. But for us as players, it's just about kind of maybe reviewing a little bit what we did yesterday, what went good, what went wrong, and just fine-tuning those things this week in training, and then hopefully get another result next weekend.
Well, could you elaborate? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, could you elaborate a little bit more on what you did really well and then some of the things that you think you could work on?
Yeah, I think our first half was better. Second half, we were kind of up against it a little bit, trying to weather the storm. They were pushing quite a bit. Like you guys mentioned, Burnsy had to make a number of really good saves. I think we kept the ball well in the first half at times. I found we had a couple good chances towards going to net. And yeah, some things we need to improve upon. I think just we need to relax now. Just understanding that we actually are good enough to play in this league like we saw yesterday. There's always that unknown of like what we're up against. I think our team as a whole, we're just a little bit nervous. So I think now we can just relax, keep the ball a little bit more and just play our game. We usually like to get our fullbacks, like our outside backs, pretty involved in the attack. I don't feel like we had that dynamic yesterday. Our midfield was a bit disconnected. So there's a couple things we can definitely fine tune for next week.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my burning question is, obviously Foothills pretty well and proved that you could go out and beat them. You talk about Coach Flannery knowing his stuff against that team, but now you look at an SC Blue Heat team who's leading the West and, maybe not a team that you guys know as well. How are you feeling about going into a match like that down the road?
We feel good. Honestly, we've heard, obviously, about how good they are. They're a quality side. And the record book shows that, but I think one of our strengths is we just focus on ourselves. We try not to put too much thought and too much effort into worrying about the other team, although we do our homework a little bit here and there. But yeah, it'll be an interesting match when we face them at some point. And yeah, just another quality side that's part of this conference, and hopefully we'll be able to give them a good match and get a result.
Katie, one last question before we let Erica go and get ready for training today.
Yeah, I guess what can we just expect to see from you guys in the coming week?
I think next weekend you'll see a more collected side. I think just getting that first one out of the way. It's done now. It's in the past. We got a result. Although at times it wasn't our best match and we still got a result, so we're happy about that. But I think you'll see a more kind of reserved side when we start to play our game a little bit more, hopefully next weekend. And yeah, I think that'll bode well for us moving forward.
And moving forward, you will. There's a lot of soccer left for you guys.
Yeah.
You got an extra week. You've got Foothills this weekend, and then you head to California, sunny California, where the weather right now, it's what time is it? It's like 6:38. The weather's already about 70s. Nice little weather waiting for you guys here in California when you make your way down on the 16th. So, Erica, we'll let you get going. I know you got training today. Coach is probably already halfway to the pitch with his Tim Horton coffee.
Yeah.
Waiting for everybody to show up. So, Erica, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Cheers.
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 All right. Well, I'm excited. I think Impact has a lot of opportunity to make an impact, as does Foothill, right? Foothills is going to come out. They're upset. They're mad. They're salty. That July 11th match might even be more physical than the match that we just saw last night. So, get your shin guards, wear a double pair of shin guards, put some cardboard behind those bad boys. It's gonna be feisty, man.
Yeah.
But hey, look, we got soccer this weekend. We got a lot of it. Chaos to be said. In fact, Katie, your match, you've got number one. You went the easy way. You picked the number one team out east, taking on number 7. Tell us a little bit about why the match on Tuesday, July 11th or July 6th has your interest.
Well, because the last time they played, it was only a 1-0 game. And so that's why I think it's probably going to be a pretty interesting match. Some of the players to watch are Kelsey Araujo. I don't know how to say your name. I'm so sorry. Araujo. I'm so sorry. But Kelsey and Marcella Barbaric, both of them from FC Buffalo, are the players to watch, and they're the team's high scorers. And Barbaric is the one who actually scored that single goal against Syracuse the last time they played. So again, sometimes those rankings don't always show everything, especially when there are so many teams involved. So I'm just ready to see what they have this second time around.
Danny, you're just staying home. That's all you're doing. You're just staying home. You've got the double header going on. Why is this such an important matchup that's taking place at a neutral site in Montgomery?
I was going to say, it's not really home. And to be fair, I went to the West Coast earlier. Okay, don't come at me like that. But no. So yeah, they're in Montgomery. I did the research on Google Maps for hours. For like 30 seconds. From Baton Rouge, it's about a 5.5-hour drive, so that's Louisiana's commute time, and then only about 2.5 hours from Marietta. So, I mean, it's definitely a neutral site. I saw that it was going to be played at Fulgar Soccer Complex, and I'm like, wait, what the heck? Both these games are in Louisiana? Like, that's stupid. But then I looked it up. I was like, oh, just kidding. They did it at a neutral venue. So my rage against the UWS schedule is simmered down. But no. So I mean, we had the match last night that technically Atlanta hosted. That was a 3-1 win against Louisiana, and now Louisiana flipping the script. Officially they're the home side, but obviously we're at the same venue. So just both teams get a weekend in Montgomery for their trouble, which is exciting. And I mean, you imagine Atlanta's going to come out and get through 3 points as well. Still all to be played for, but the significance here is Atlanta, with anything but a loss, will secure the second spot and get to play Pensacola for the Southeast title in the very first year of the Southeast title. Louisiana would have to win and then I think get a little bit of help on goal difference to steal that second spot, but it is all to play for there. And also another thing to keep in mind, not only a doubleheader for both these teams, they both played yesterday, it's a triple header, 3 games in 3 days for Louisiana, who are trying to catch up on their schedule, a lot like the Canadian clubs. They're just now really starting to hit their season schedule. I think last week was their first game of the season and their first game of existence against Pensacola and the Academy. So that's the thing, is they played on Thursday against Pensacola, lost 5-0 to them. Then they lost 3-1 to Atlanta. It's been a long weekend already. They'll want to turn things around if they can and get something good from the weekend. Obviously, they're still looking to grab that number 2 spot.
Yeah, that number 2 spot's going to be golden. And Atlanta is playing well right now. They've kind of found their groove. I think Ron has done a really good job of making sure they play tight, they play organized out of the back, and the soccer that I've seen coming out of Atlanta. I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I'm kind of surprised. I did not expect this from the Panthers this early, but they're looking like a potential title contender. And hopefully they have happiest of Joe, producer Joe. His birthday was yesterday, so hopefully he's able to enjoy it. And Atlanta gives him a win for a birthday present, but we'll see. I'm staying in the East, though, because drama is the East. If this was a soap opera, it would be like Days of Our Lives, because Lancaster, Albany Rush, Millersville University, 2 p.m. Eastern today. Man, Lancaster Inferno is going to host Albany Rush. Albany currently occupies the 4th and final playoff spot in the East. Lancaster Inferno sitting 3 points back. They need to rebound from their last 2 losses that they took last weekend. So they need to actually pull their weight. I'm excited to see it. If Lancaster Inferno loses this match, though, they've been the team to beat in the Eastern Conference the last few years, and that title's their window of opportunity is slowly slipping away, like the Golden State Warriors window closed during the basketball season. So we'll see. Yeah, that was tough. I can tell you. When you have a dynasty and you just start to lose it and fades away, right? It's hard. It's like
hey, I'm a Spurs fan. I understand that very well.
Oh man, don't get me started on the Spurs. It's a whole different story.
Oh, me neither. Oof.
Spurs, ouch. So hey, let's get into some goals of the week. This week we have some quality goals, and we start with St. Louis Scott Gallagher's Abby Miller. I believe that's where we're starting. And it is Abby Miller for St. Louis Scott Gallagher, top of the A-team with just a rocket, little blip on the radar, and a goal going in. Brooke Baruto scoring for Syracuse with a nice little hit up into the top right corner. This is you know what? I'm gonna. Oh wait, I don't even see what happened there. It was so quick. Katie, you were there. Tell us about Eden's goal here.
It was great. I was not there actually, unfortunately, but yeah, she actually had a hat trick that game.
Yeah,
pretty
she
sure. And yeah, I mean, she was just on fire that game. This past game. Yeah,
So I guess
yeah,
that
no,
comes off the throw in and takes a couple bounces, and she just turns and bangs it into the far right corner. Is that
boom.
what I'm
Yeah. Ooh.
saying?
Yeah, she is one of the few left-footed girls on our team, and she is really, really solid with that left foot.
And then the last
I'm
one is. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say she's only 17 years old and she's from Canada, and I just think I'm always impressed by how much she can do at such a young age, and so you know, she's gonna be a player to watch for a while. You know, I can't like a hat trick and 2 assists at 17 in a semi-pro league. Okay, girl, yes, ma'am, love it. You know,
Yeah,
so
and she's a
we're
twin,
lucky to
right?
have her.
That's the second set of twins on San Antonio Athenians.
No, no, she's not a twin. She's the
Okay.
younger sister of Peyton, who's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
Yeah,
Peyton
but
is
they're-
going to Creighton, yes?
Yeah, that's correct. Creighton University. And they both of them work really well together on the side as well. Sometimes we'll have Eden as a left mid and Peyton as a left back, but they're both such versatile players. They can really play in a lot of different positions: forward, outside back, outside mid. They've been a huge asset to our team.
And you might have some. I know we just saw her dad posted some highlight videos for her for colleges. You might have to get into the ear of some Mississippi State people to get her out there.
What? Well, apparently she's already in the talks with them, so she doesn't need me. Her performance speaks for itself. I don't think she needs my help, but if she did, I'd be more than happy to do that. So
there we go. And then the last goal, free kick. Katie kind of brought a mention to it during her recap. Marissa Genova with an absolute screamer here, right-footed, opposite side, top corner. That's just top bins right there. Here's another view of it from ground level. I think if we had to choose based off of what we see, I think Marissa takes the win this week. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I could see the argument for that. I'm gonna continue to be a homer for Buffalo, and I think that second goal is my preference. We'll finish Abby's, and let's see this one right here. This is also a really good goal, actually, from the top of the box. That's underrated. That's not going to get enough credit as it should, to be honest.
Right.
That's
Lost
really
in traffic.
For as far out as that goal was, the power and the control, and to put it in the lower 90, that's really difficult. I mean, so I that was a really good goal. Now for Eden's goal, I'm like, how many people can just turn and volley it with their left foot into the opposite upper 90, you know, on a throw in? That's pretty awesome. But again, not to take away from from Inferno's goal, you know, like it was between that one and the goal that they scored on the cross, it just made the quality of the game look a lot nicer. You know, they were really quality goals. And not only that, there's a bunch of diagonals going on even after the fact. Like, it was just really good attacking for Inferno. And it was a set piece, and those are hard to place, no doubt, you know, because everybody's watching, everybody's ready, they're waiting. So it is hard to place it. Plus that bend, that was really good. But I'm going to have to vote for Eden. I'm loving the turn and the volley, the opposite 90. Like that's quality stuff, right?
Go and get your votes in. Go to UWS at UWS Soccer. Get your vote in for goal of the week. It's gonna be worth it. But hey, listen, I got an email last week from a coach, from a general manager out in Albany. Albany plays Lancaster today. We're actually joined by Liv. She had a highlight last week, but before we get into her highlight, we're going to bring Liv on. Liv, first off, thanks for taking the time to join us today. How are you?
I'm good.
So Liv, I want to talk real quick before we talk a little bit about last weekend. I want to talk about this weekend. You guys are traveling to Lancaster to play the Inferno with an opportunity to seal your own destiny for playoffs. How nerve-wracking is it right now to know that?
It's a little nerve-wracking because we had a rough start, and I think that it's like more of adrenaline than nerve-wracking. I think we're getting really excited because we had a rough start, and then now we're just like gelling as a new team. We're like, our results are getting a lot better, which is exciting.
How have those results been? And you know, being new and new to the league in general, what's it been like for you guys?
So it's just been like we have a lot of talent. It's just like you can't connect like certain passes, certain plays because a lot of us don't play with each other. We're all from different clubs, from different schools, from different colleges. So it's kind of hard to make the game creative and gel super well. But as practices have gone on, as games have gone on, we've all gotten better. So I think that's why we have gotten better throughout the whole league.
Danny, Katie, any questions for Liv for this weekend?
I'm just really excited to get to the second part of this interview, which is hilarious. I mean, we're talking here, as fans. I mean, Katie's a player, but as a fan of other, as we're watching the East, it feels like madness to us. Like there's so many teams, and we're all a little bit confused. Like, is it confusing for you guys to keep up as well?
Oh yeah, I don't. When I joined Albany Rush, I didn't know half of the importance and of how big the league was. I joined because I really wanted to be ready for preseason, and then to find out we're playing in a semi-pro or pro league, I was not expecting it, but it's really cool.
It makes you feel a little bit better, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Liv, where are you? What school are you attending, and how have things been?
I'm a rising sophomore at SUNY Geneseo, and unfortunately, this is going to be my first season because the SUNYACs didn't have a season due to COVID, so I'm basically like a glorified freshman. I'm really excited.
That's awesome. All right, I gotta ask.
So
Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Well, I was gonna say, are you gonna get a fifth year then, since you have your eligibility? Okay,
yes, I'll be able to get a fifth year. I don't know if I'll do it at Geneseo because it's not a huge grad program, but I would love to finish out at Geneseo. I love the girls and the coach. So.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
I gotta ask. Let's go to last weekend. So you scored a goal. Is that your first goal of the year, by the way?
That one was my first one, and then I scored another one in that game.
All right. So we're gonna prep people for this. So you score your first goal of the year. It was a 1v1 with the goalkeeper. You slotted it home.
Finish.
Yeah, well, great finish. And then we're not here to give like, I thought this was funny because Brian sent it to me. He goes, "This is, if you've watched ESPN, you see the not top 10. The goalie or the referee goes to point to the center to show goal, and you head over to give him a high five. Now, was that planned, or did you really think he was ready to give you a high five?
Honestly, I just wanted to give him a high five. I was really happy for scoring my first goal. I couldn't tell because the refs were kind of goofy in general, but I know all the refs point to half line, so it's just why not? Just involve them in the celebration.
I love it.
Gotta give some love to the official. I like it. So here's what we've got. I got the video. Brian sent the video, so we're gonna go ahead and show this. Liv, stay with us here as we go through it. So here you are, 1v1. You score. Referee's in the middle of the box, top of the 18. And you go over to give him a high five. I think this is hilarious. Now, if this was a silly, I'm in. Now, you should have gone to the linesman and given the linesman a high five too.
I know.
Case. But yes,
the great thing about it though, the way that it worked out, she just literally gave the dude a high five and just kept walking back. It was just completely in stride. She didn't even move out of her way. It was so funny. It didn't even happen. It's so funny. I love this. High marks for the whether it was a celebration or whatever it was. I'm really. I saw this and I really had to keep myself from dying laughing in the pregame, in the pre-show, because Jonathan showed this to me. It was like, wait, what? It was amazing.
Did he laugh about it?
I don't know. I think he was just wasn't expecting. Obviously, what referee would expect someone to give him a high five, but I think he might have laughed it off because he was saying snarky remarks the whole game. He was funny. He was a funny ref, but he just looked down at his hand and was very confused.
You said you had a second goal, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so did you look for him after the second goal? Did he say anything?
Unfortunately, I did not. I couldn't find him.
Oh man, I love it. I love those celebrations when you're so excited. You're I don't even care what's happening. It's it's just a natural response. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was really excited because that. This season, the first game with Albany Rush was actually my first game since November 2019 with COVID since my school didn't have a season. So just to score my first goal in an actual game, I was just really excited.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Well, congratulations on that goal. You got the 2 out of the way. Now you need to go score a hat trick today. You got a brace.
Yes,
you need a hat trick today. Lead your team to the playoffs. Punch that ticket. Take out Lancaster. They are the reigning back-to-back Eastern Conference champions. So they've got some plans. So there's some bulletin board material for you. I know you got to travel. Have a safe travel to Lancaster. Good luck today, and we'll see you later this afternoon at Millersville University.
Thank you.
Awesome, Liv. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right. Storylines for week 9, guys. What do we got? Danny, what's your hot take this week?
My storyline is, are we going to see Liv high-five another referee after a goal? That's what I want to see. That was awesome. As a referee myself, I just I was a referee for 3 years. There are certain moments that happen that you just have a story to tell for the rest of eternity. They just you tell your referee friends like, oh no, you thought that was funny. Listen to what happened to me. A player high-fived me when I signaled for a goal. That's just I can't get over that. It's amazing. Much respect to Liv for that. But I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, my storyline is who's gonna and this is, for some teams the last week of the season, right? So of the regular season. So who is going to not only secure a playoff spot in their division, but who's going to prove to us that, whatever the power rankings say, whatever people think is going to happen, who's going to come out here and prove it when it matters most, that they can win a match that means something, especially in the East. You're looking at those games. All of those games have significance. Who's going to come out in a bunch of games where there's evenly matched teams? Who goes out there and gets the 3 points when it's absolutely necessary for their survival? Those are the teams that I'm looking at and saying, could they challenge, a Buffalo or somebody, or find a way in the East, and then go and challenge and become an underdog and find their way into to a national title conversation? It's in that realm of possibility that we could see an underdog like that, and I think it could come from the East, except for the fact that Buffalo is amazing and no one will ever beat them. That's my hot take.
Katie, what's your storyline for this week?
This week has been kind of crazy for me, so I don't have any crazy, cool, awesome storyline, but I am really curious about that East Conference. There's just so much going on that it's like you don't really know what's going to happen until time passes, because there are so many teams. It's like you can't even predict it right now. So I'm really excited to see that, and I'm also really curious for where the playoffs are going to be. I know they haven't made any of those announcements yet, but we at least since we went ahead and secured the playoff spot, we're really curious about where that's going to take place, and we're also curious about where nationals are going to take place, the whole shebang. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Bring it to Atlanta, please.
We want to take a trip. We definitely want to take a trip out of Texas. So please, let's not make it in Texas.
It's my birthday weekend. I know where it's being played, but I'm not allowed to spoil it yet.
No, come on.
My birthday weekend.
Come on.
I had to book my flight. My wife and I are heading out to the national championship.
Oh, okay. So
we're gonna be crashing a friend's house. He doesn't know it yet, but he will know it soon.
I hope I'm not the friend, because I have no idea.
No. You're good. But hey,
this means it's not in California.
California's big.
I have to travel. I still have to travel. It could be sunny San Diego. Could be
Canada?
San Diego. Awesome. Let me tell you right now. But hey, guys, it's week 9. I think the storyline is going to be who comes out with that, who punches the ticket for 3rd and 4th in the East. Can FC Austin Elite, who controls their own destiny, can they get the result that's needed today against Central Texas, but also next weekend against the Athenians, where they have to go in and win in order to maintain an opportunity to play in the playoffs for the Southwest? We'll see. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you to Liv for joining us for her referee high five. Thank you to Erica for giving us some insight into last night's Impact Foothill match. They play again next Sunday, July 11th. Should be a great match. Check it out, CFN Media. But hey, That's all we got. Until next Saturday, thank you for joining us here on the UWS Kickoff Show, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. And we will see you guys next weekend. Thanks for joining us, everybody.